and reassembly. The machine is powered by a V-type 4-cylinder engine. Each cylinder is individually numbered. Viewed from the rear of the machine, the top left cylinder is number 1 and the bottom left is number 2. The top right is number 3 and the bottom right is number 4. You must remember this numbering by heart. The engine serial number is located below the exhaust port of cylinder number 3. Cylinders number 1 and number 4 are sparked simultaneously on the V-type engine at a crank angle of 180 degrees. When the crank turns another 180 degrees, cylinders number 2 and number 3 are sparked simultaneously. This illustrates the sequence of ignition timing. The timing is checked at the second cylinder. Before dismounting the engine, the machine should be washed and engine oil and coolant drained. The drain bolt for the engine oil is located at the left side of the engine facing the front. And the coolant drain bolts are located on the water pump cover and at the lower cylinder head. The drive sprocket nut must be loosened before dismounting the engine. We will now begin to remove the engine. First, the fuel tank and the seat are removed. The knob on the fuel cock must be set to on or reserve position. Remove the fuel cock from the stay, then remove the fuel cock and the tank as a set. Then remove the muffler. When installing the muffler, the third muffler is mounted first. The air cleaner case is removed next. It is fastened with 6 bolts. Then remove the radiator and the hose. There are 4 bolts. Remove the hoses connected to the cylinder head and the water pump. Incidentally, some service jobs can be performed without removing the engine. For example, servicing of the top ends overhaul, the pistons and cylinders, and some clutch parts. Now back to engine removal. After the radiator and hoses have been removed, remove the throttle cables and the carburetors. First you must disconnect or remove all the fuel and oil pipes and connectors. The down tube at the right-hand side of the RZ500 is removable. This helps to remove the engine more easily. This bolt must be fastened again temporarily during service. We recommend that you use a jack to make the job easier. Then remove the engine mounting bolts. After the engine mounting bolts have been removed, move the engine up and forward a little, then pull it out to the right. If it is difficult, you might want to first remove the magnet cover. Before we begin disassembling the engine, please remember one important thing. Each part must be removed or disconnected according to orders, and parts need to be grouped by sections, and each part must be marked so it is easily identified for reassembly. We will now begin disassembling the engine. We will also show you some important points for reassembly as we proceed. The cylinder head nuts are removed from number 10 to number 1 in 2 stages. Crown nuts number 1, 4, 9, and 10 have copper washers. The thermostat outlet is located on the upper cylinder head. This is for the lower cylinder head. It is removed in the same way as the upper cylinder head. When installing the cylinder heads, the hose outlets face both the upper and lower cylinder heads. The upper and lower head gaskets are different and are identified by white paint numbers. The number 1 gasket is for the upper cylinder head, and the number 2 is for the lower cylinder head. When installing, the gasket identification numbers should face up towards the cylinder heads. If gaskets are incorrectly installed, coolant will not flow properly, with possible engine trouble resulting. The YPVS link can be disconnected from the cylinders by removing the Allen bolt located at the holder. When installing rods, number 1 rod must be installed to the upper cylinders and the number 2 rod to the lower cylinders. Intake manifolds for the first and second cylinders are identical, and intake manifolds for the third and fourth are also identical. They are installed in such a way that all of the oil inlet ports face down towards the ground. All of the 4 reed valves are identical. They must be installed in a specific direction. The 2 lines on the body must face towards the cylinder. The pistons for the upper cylinders have air inlet ports, and the pistons for the lower cylinders do not have air inlet ports. The piston rings are the same for all cylinders. The top piston ring is a keystone type, and the second ring consists of a plain type and an expander. When the piston ring is installed, be sure the ring's ends and the knock pin match each other correctly.